So I just did a new motor test at Chicago out and back. It was 19 hours and 7 minutes from doorstep back to my doorstep. 1,152 miles, average speed of 60 miles an hour. I did that just turn and burn. I just left. I went straight to Chicago and back. I headed out from Kansas City. Um, Running a Power Wagon, 2019 Power Wagon with 37-inch Falcon AT 4Ws, um, which are a true 37, 45 psi up front and 40 in the rear. Um, I know a lot of people say they're not highway queens, but man, that truck just rolled down the highway. Uh, Not a whole lot better than that. It's like driving an apartment building. I think one of the first things we should talk about is the actual elevation of the drive. Uh, On the way there, I had some pretty strong tailwinds as soon as I started heading east. When I was heading north, the truck was eating gas, 6, 7, 8, 9 miles a gallon. Once I turned east and from Des Moines and over to Chicago, uh, started getting anywhere from 12 to 16 miles a gallon. Brought my average up to about 12.4 by the time I got there. Opposite of when I got back, I had some pretty strong headwinds going west from Chicago to Des Moines, and then when I started heading south back down to Kansas, I had some good tailwinds there. But once I got to about midway, the Kansas border or so, it got some pretty strong headwinds again. So we had some strong wind changes. The temperature was going anywhere from when I left, it was almost 60 degrees. When I got back, I think it was 16 degrees. It was huge temperature changes throughout the day. Obviously, with that polar vortex or whatever it's being called, Arctic blast coming down, that's to be expected. But um, going from 60 to 16 is nuts. Like that's probably where we got those really strong winds. Typically, when I see temperature fluctuations like that, being from Kansas, it's like, oh, we already know tornadoes are coming, but I think that's probably the wrong time of the season for that. I don't normally see them around now, but um, the elevation on the way there, though, it says that I had about 21,000 feet of um, deflection or whatever you want to call that, of elevation change. The highest point I hit was 1,100 feet, and then above sea level, and the lowest I got was 571 feet above sea level. It was a lot more hilly than I expected. There were lots of up and downs. Once you in Kansas, it's pretty flat. Once you hit Iowa, you kind of get these big, long, rolling hills, which was pretty nice. Adds just a little bit of character to the drive. Obviously, during the day, you can see that at nighttime. All you get to see is if there's a hill, you kind of look over the top of it and you can see that traffic line from a lot further away. Obviously, the best thing to do is just stay in the pockets of traffic at nighttime. Um, and if you can get a couple good semis to be out there running in front of you, that's always a nice thing to have. They don't get too upset with your headlights behind them. Um, yeah, the whole purpose of this trip was one to test myself. I haven't done a 20-hour stretch yet in a long time since I was a little bit younger. But I have always gone on these really long drives. Um, I do take care of myself. I'm not stressing myself. I don't get to the point where I'm beating my head against the steering wheel to go to sleep. If I'm tired, I'll stop. If I'm not, I'll just keep rolling. I got no problem with that. So during the like a 19-hour. I didn't get tired all day. I prepped the day ahead of time. I got my rest. If I know if I eat along the road trip, I get more tired. So I stick with my drink of choice, which is AMP when it comes to road trips. Not a whole lot of people drink AMP anymore. It's kind of like on the bottom shelf and some gas stations and not others. But I've drank AMP for a long, long time when it was similar to Sobe, when they had the little cans. Amp was the best thing to get out of all those. Sobe was pretty good though too. I wish I would bring Sobe. The Adrenaline Rush back. Um, on here, would be really cool to on the Stash Cast get people to start riding in the truck for some of these stints of the drive. It's hard to put someone in the truck for 19 hours because obviously they have things they have to do. Um, but I do think that it would be an interesting way to jog a conversation. A lot of weird things happen on road trips. You see a lot of things happen on road trips. You see a lot of incidents on the road. You see a lot of things that people aren't familiar to seeing every single day. So that can strike up, unique conversation. And unique conversation is really the whole point of this. I think when you're sitting in a room, a lot of times the things around you affect the conversation, and if those things don't change, you kind of get a redundant style of conversation. If you change the entire environment, I think that you can get a lot more unique conversation. So I want to take people into mountains. I want to take people into the swamps, get them along the Pacific Coast Highway and just explore this country together with people. Um, if I'm by myself, the whole point is to be able to go live. So it'd be cool to, over 18, 20. When I do my trip from Key West to Dead Horse, Alaska, it's going to be 89 hours. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to go live by that time because, I'll need someone to talk to. Two, I'm doing it by myself. Uh, and three, I think it would just be interesting to be able to bring you all along the journey of kind of how I approach road trips. I don't really approach them the same as most people, where some people would like to go to a little town and on their way there they stop and they look things over. That's kind of not the way I do things. When I set on a road trip, my destination is my pinpoint. So I try to get to it as fast as possible. And along the way, I document places that I want to return to. That way, that when I get to my destination, I can either turn around and head back and go to those little places, or I can catch those places on another road trip, or make them a point of a road trip. I've done all types of things. I've been from Miami to Southern California, all the way up to Oregon and over to Wyoming and down to Colorado and back to Kansas and back to Miami in about 10 days, up to, the Northeast. I haven't hit Nova Scotia yet, which I think I really want to do, and get up to the far Northeast sometime this year. But I do know that I'll be definitely spending a lot of time in Colorado and a few other places. I know this first video kind of sucks, just the way it is. Um, I'll have more information as the time goes on, but your first of everything sucks. My background on my phone always says, it says right now, it says your first workout will be bad, your first podcast will be bad, your first speech will be bad, your first video will be bad, your first anything will be bad, but you can't make it your 100th without making your first. So I know this is terrible, and I just hope that you guys come along with me because I know it'll get a lot better. We'll grow, we'll do a lot of cool things, including going over the truck, doing, installation videos. I kind of have like this little budget thing going on. It's like not really budget. Um, so, showing how to source things. Maybe there's some expensive equipment that you want to figure out how you can get same quality at, at a cheaper price. The whole point is to get young people into the sport of not the sport, but the culture and lifestyle of overlanding and seeing the country by vehicle. It's a unique way to build your love for the outdoors. Without that love and without that appreciation and without seeing it and getting involved in it, you really don't ever care what happens to it. That goes with anything that you don't get involved in. If you're not involved in it, you don't really give a shit at the end of the day. If someone says all our forests are burning down or all of our forests are getting trashed and people are throwing garbage all over the place and trails are getting shut down and access to those forests are getting shut down. If you don't go to those forests, you really don't care, which is completely understandable. I'm that way about certain things. It's a bias I think we all have, but um, I like getting into the outdoors, and I think that everybody should be into the outdoors because we all live in it. So we all have a, it's not something that we all don't get to be integrated with, without the forest and without the national parks and state parks and all those places, we won't get to be here for super long. Um, I know the trade off is that you have to go into the forest with a gas truck. I know that trade off, but I believe that education about the forests outweigh the damage that I know that I do to the forest. Even if I go slow and I roll over rocks, someone will sit there and say that I'm damaging a mountain or a forest or what have you. But I think that without getting out there and seeing things, right now, that's the best way to get out there and get involved and hands on with these places. That education is at a higher education about the outdoors and why the outdoors are important to us, is more important than the limited damage that we're doing on man-made trails that were made back in the day. So that's my feeling on it. I know this was supposed to be kind of a road trip video about Chicago, but honestly, from Kansas to Chicago, you're not seeing a whole lot on the way up there. There's not a whole lot to do up there. That one is just kind of a time thing. Again, Kansas City to Chicago and back, 19 hours. Not bad. 1,150 miles. Um, don't know if I'll be doing that one again, mainly because if I can break into Iowa, Iowa seemed a little cool. I bet there's some little special spots in there. I try to stay out of Illinois. I don't really enjoy Illinois a whole lot. Uh, but yeah, we'll be doing all kinds of things this year, and I'll be taking you guys along. Shorter videos are typically my style when it comes to a non-road trip video. So look out for shorts. I don't really know how those pull people in, but I just started this whole thing. So if you got any feedback, let me know. And if you have any content that you want to see, or maybe one day ride in the passenger seat and do this podcast thing with me, I think that'd be pretty cool. So just go ahead and remember, I need 50 people in order to go live. Uh, hate people hate asking to follow, but this is something that YouTube requires. So without the 50 followers, I can't go live, and the whole point is to go live. So I do need this initial 50 from y'all, and then you probably won't hear me asking for subscribers and stuff like that after, because after that it'll be up to me. So I appreciate you guys' time, and hope to see you guys on the road. Stashcast, an overland pod. See you later.